You can do
Huyen spent
this.
9 months of pregnancy
right here with
filled
you.
with worry, hope, and anticipation.
I'm right here thinking
When
this.
labor pains suddenly struck, her husband
Everything
Z
is going to be
rushed
fine,
her
my
to the
love.
hospital.
I hope
Doctors
so.
determined she couldn't deliver naturally and needed a C-section. After more than an hour of tense
Her
waiting,
heart rate is a little
the surgery
elevated.
was successful and
That's
a
normal
healthy
under these
baby girl was
circumstances.
born. The moment they saw their daughter
All right,
for
here we
the
go.
first time,
You can do this.
both Huyen and Z burst into tears of happiness, ending a long, emotional journey
Hello.
and beginning a new chapter for their little family. If you enjoy
Oh,
touching
my
and meaningful
sweet
stories like
baby.
this, don't forget to like, share,
Oh,
and
she's so
subscribe to the channel to
beautiful.
support us. Thank you so much.
Our little one.
During the 9 months of pregnancy, Huyen always imagined the moment her daughter would be born. Her belly grew heavier day by day, making every step harder. But whenever she felt a tiny kick from the baby, all fatigue seemed to disappear. The closer she got to her due date, the more nervous both she and her husband Z became. He stayed by her side constantly, afraid she would be in pain, afraid she would be tired, and most of all, afraid something might go wrong when the time came. He prepared the hospital bag weeks in advance, checking and rechecking every tiny item. Huyen often teased him for worrying too much, but deep down, she felt incredibly safe having him beside her. Then, one gloomy morning, while she was gently rubbing her belly, a sharp, twisting pain shot down her spine, making her freeze. She gasped, holding her stomach tightly, and called out for Z. He rushed up from the kitchen in panic, and the moment he saw her pale face contorted in pain, he knew the moment had arrived. He helped her out the door, called a taxi while the sky opened and rain began to fall. Throughout the ride to the hospital, Huyen struggled through each wave of intense contractions, sweat dripping down despite the cold weather. Z held her hand tightly, wiping her forehead, whispering comforting words, even though his own heart was pounding with fear. At the hospital, nurses quickly placed her on a stretcher and pushed her into the emergency maternity ward. Z could only watch helplessly as she disappeared behind the doors. A doctor later called him in to discuss the situation, informing him that Huyen's cervix was dilating very slowly and her pelvic structure was narrow, making natural birth impossible. A cesarean section was necessary. Hearing the news, Z felt his knees almost give out, but he forced himself to stay calm and sign the consent form. Before being taken into the operating room, Huyen squeezed his hand and smiled weakly, trying to reassure him even though she herself was filled with fear. The door closed behind her, leaving Z alone in the bright white hallway, hands shaking, eyes fixed on the operating room sign. Every minute felt like an hour. He heard footsteps, the clattering of medical tools and hospital announcements echoing around him. But none of it mattered except the silence coming from the operating room. After more than an hour, the doors finally opened and the doctor stepped out. D jumped to his feet. The doctor removed his mask and smiled gently, telling him that the surgery was successful and both mother and baby were safe. Their daughter weighed 3.2 kilograms. Hearing those words, Dee's eyes filled instantly with tears. Relief, joy, and overwhelming gratitude washed over him all at once. A nurse brought the baby out in a small bassinet. Inside was a tiny little angel wrapped in a pink blanket, her face round and slightly flushed, her tiny hands moving weakly. Dee reached a trembling finger toward her, and she instinctively curled her fingers around his. That small, fragile grip tightened something in his chest. He stood there, staring at his daughter, the worries of the past 9 months melting away in an instant. When Huyen woke up after surgery, she winced at the pain of the incision, but immediately asked for her baby. Dee bent down, kissed her forehead, and told her everything was fine. Tears rolled down her cheeks as relief washed over her. When the nurse placed the baby in her arms for the first time, one looked at the tiny face nestled against her chest and burst into tears again. Tears of love, of awe, of finally holding the little life she had carried for so long. Dee stood beside them, his hand on her shoulder, his own eyes brimming with joy. They cried together, not from fear anymore, but from pure happiness. That first night in the hospital, Dee stayed awake, sitting next to the bed, occasionally leaning over to watch his daughter sleep, then turning to look at his exhausted but peaceful wife. The warm light from the bedside lamp made the room feel calm and safe. Huyen opened her eyes, smiling softly despite the pain, and asked whether he was still worried. He only smiled, took her hand, and said that now he just loved them even more. She nodded gently and closed her eyes again, resting in the warmth of the moment. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sky slowly cleared, as if reflecting the peace settling into their hearts. A long journey had finally come to an end, and a new one was beginning. As they gazed at their tiny daughter sleeping soundly, they understood that life had changed forever, filled with more love, more responsibility, and endless hope. In that moment, both Huyen and Dee felt happiness overflowing, knowing their little family was finally complete with the first cry of their newborn daughter.